Firm. This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. And Fidelity Bank. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Also brought to you by Roper's Enterprises, 122 Industrial Way. Products and services for better public health. Green Turtle. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today. And the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you.
For the record.
Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record.
Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Ort Connor.
Good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees. So fair. I hope and I trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable weekend. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, we urge you to please be extremely cautious, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, operating any type of motorized vehicle on the roads. Bear in mind that this time of the year, with the Christmas holidays and New Year holidays coming along, the roads are going to be even more busy here than they usually are. So please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road. Bear in mind that by doing all of those positive things, that the life you save may be your own. Today is Monday, the 7th day of December 2020. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and the management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Ort Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. There is always someone there waiting to take your calls. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be that. And this morning as well, it's going to be that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. So you can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. If you don't like to talk on the telephone, then email us at fortherecord, one word, For the Record at candw.ky. WhatsApp us 925-3261, where you can send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday. If you've celebrated one over the weekend, then a belated happy birthday. For those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you, and we hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these very challenging times, and also that the good memories that you have of your lost loved ones will also help to support you during your recovery period as well. For those of you who may be infirmed, either recovering at home or in hospital, we want to wish you a speedy recovery as well. No guests in the studio this morning, so we're going to have an open line for you to call in, talk about various subjects. We want to keep it as positive as possible. Some of you may want to reflect on the upcoming festive season. Some of you may have a different angle to it, more on the religious side. Some may have in terms of looking at those who are more in need, the more vulnerable in our society. Some of you may want to just simply talk about, how you intend to celebrate it. We know that celebrations will be there as well. And some people may have started early, Saturday morning, heading up to the Customs Department on that sharp turn there where the park is, the airport park, pickup truck over on the, inside the fence of the runaway. Obviously, I don't want to pass any judgment in terms of the condition of the driver at the time that the accident occurred, but unfortunately, we're going to see more and more vehicles on the side of the road that have, as a result of accidents occurring on the road. And we just hope and we trust that you will follow the instructions that are issued by the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, all of those service clubs that support safe driving during the festive season, those that provide, I think that's something called the Purple Ribbon. I'll find the exact name for it, but they provide buses for people to take rather than having to drive, because you hear this stupidity about, well, I drive much better when I have had a few drinks in. That's a pile of nonsense. You don't drive any better. Then you may feel more emboldened because of the influence of the alcohol or whatever else that you may have been taken, but that doesn't mean that you drive any better. Your driving is actually impaired when you're under the influence. So, and also those locations, bars, restaurants, whatever, that dispense alcohol as well, you also want to bear in mind that you shoulder a responsibility when serving persons. You should observe how many drinks they have had, and when you feel that they've had enough, then you should cut them off as well. There are many jurisdictions where you're either criminally or civilly liable when you allow persons to drink and over the limit, and they go out there and they may maim or even kill someone. You can become liable for that. Not sure if that obtains here in the Cayman Islands, but if it isn't a legal obligation, you certainly have a moral obligation to ensure that if you're serving someone drinks, or if you're even a friend of someone who is drinking, you try to keep them under control. Unfortunately, we can't eliminate it, but we can do our best to try to reduce the number of accidents and the number of fatalities on the road if we try to control those persons who, for some reason or the other, have to drink. On Friday, of course, in the afternoon, we had the opening of the New Cayman Islands Parliament, and the various dignitaries spoke on that occasion. I will share with you what the governor had to say at the opening of Parliament. And he pointed out, he says, he congratulated the Cayman Islands on their constitutional reforms, paid tribute to the government for its handling of the pandemic, and spoke with optimism about the future, highlighting the opportunity to build back greater. Governor also highlighted the UK's support to Cayman, including with the development of the Cayman Islands Regiment. He stressed his continued commitment to the islands. He also passed on a message of congratulations to the unconstitutional reform and the creation of the new parliament from Her Royal Highness, from His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales, the UK Prime Minister, and Lord Tariq Ahmad of Wimbledon. And he is quoted, His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales, said, "It gives me great pleasure and pride to congratulate the people of the Cayman Islands on the agreement to reform and modernize your constitution and on the creation of your new parliament, which together represents an important moment for the strong and vibrant democracy that exists in the islands. Having such fond and special memories of our visit to the Cayman Islands in March of 2019 and of the remarkable warmth of the welcome we so touchingly received, my wife and I particularly wanted to send to the new members of Parliament and all the people of the Cayman Islands whom they represent our warmest wishes, and to say how much you are all in our thoughts at this time." UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson said, "I would like to congratulate the people of the Cayman Islands on their constitutional reforms, which signal how far they have come in developing into a mature democracy. New powers come with a heavy burden of responsibility, which no politician should bear lightly, but I am confident that the members of the Cayman Islands Parliament will build upon the successes of recent decades, which have propelled the islands forward as a modern democracy, working in partnership with the United Kingdom." And Lord Tariq Ahmad of Wimbledon, who was the UK Minister for the Overseas Territories at the start of the negotiations, and also sent his good wishes. He said, "I am delighted that the constitutional reforms are now coming into effect. This signals another step forward by the people of the Cayman Islands to advance the vibrant democracy they have built as the foundation for prosperity, which shines as an example to others across the Caribbean." And so those were some of the messages that were shared by the governor as well. And speaking of Lord Ahmad, you have heard in the past our Premier, the Honourable Alden McLaughlin, speak about the good working relationship that he had with the Minister for the Overseas Territory at that point in time. Of course, when there was a shuffle as far as the UK ministers were concerned, and he was replaced by Baroness Sugg, who last week, yeah, or week before last, resigned in protest from her position as well. So it'll be interesting to see who we get as the Minister for the Overseas Territories. Since then, I'm not sure that anyone has been appointed yet, but we'll wait and see what occurs. Time for us to take a commercial break, folks. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series. Brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
During the 1960s, a Mr. Ulrich McNamee came to Grand Cayman from Jamaica to work as a schoolteacher. After recognizing the need for an agriculture society, he set about starting one. Mr. McNamee, along with 10 Caymanians, attended the agriculture show in Jamaica. The group was treated well by the Jamaicans and were able to learn much, including seeing the stores where excess produce were stored and the benefits of their agriculture show. After returning home from the Jamaican Agriculture Show, Mr. McNamee, along with 15 Caymanians, started to meet on a monthly basis at the courthouse near Hogstye Bay. The meetings were held to discuss the growth of local produce and create the rules and regulations upon which the Cayman Islands Agriculture Society would be born.
Information from this historical vignette was sourced courtesy of Mr. Charles Lindbergh Eden, The History of Agriculture, 50th Annual Agriculture Show magazine.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Rotary. We've been part of the beginnings, the then and now of the Francis Bodden Girls' Home in Bodden Town and the Bonaventure Boys' Home in the West Bay. Rotary Central, along with community partners assisting students to overcome barriers on their path of learning during this pandemic, thousands of dollars in laptops. Support for the annual Rotary Island-wide health check and diabetes training by Rotary. The National Blood Bank, supported by Rotary since 1999. Lives saved, lives restored. Just a little of what we've done and continue to do. Rotary opens opportunities.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best and sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Stronger, wider, higher, lighter. The all-new Ford Ranger Raptor. Powerfully built with a 2.0 diesel Panther engine and 210 horsepower. Modern with leather interior and 8-inch touchscreen, Sync 3 technology and power features. Tough, built to handle the off-road with 4-wheel drive, terrain modes, and 10-speed automatic transmission. Coming early October to Vamped Motors, Walkers Road. To find out more and to test drive the bold new Ford Ranger Raptor, visit Vamped Motors, Walkers Road, or call 949-8288.
No, man. My bill seem huge again, and I don't know what to do about it. I gotta look some help.
We can help. The Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure has teamed up with CUC to give you the chance to win a home energy makeover worth up to $20,000. Not only will this lower your utility bills, it will increase your home's value. We are also giving away 8 home energy audits worth up to $1,900 each. Open to all homeowners in Grand Cayman. Entry is now open via www.energy.gov.ky/competition. Proudly sponsored by CEL Cooling, Mitsubishi, Foam Pros, Cooling Pros, and more. Use less, save more. Enter today.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record, sharing with you the governor's address to the Cayman Islands Parliament on the transitioning from the Legislative Assembly in name to Parliament. He also said that, as UK ministers said at the recent Joint Ministerial Council virtual meeting, the constitutional talks with Cayman were a role model for how such talks should be conducted, and one other territories could follow. The Cayman delegation demonstrated cross-party agreement and unity at those talks, which had a powerful impact on the UK and the success of the negotiations. I was pleased to play a role myself as observer in December of 2018, shortly after I was appointed governor. I have worked closely with the Premier since then to ensure the process moved forward, including navigating the inevitable delays caused by COVID. So the governor refers to the fact that the constitutional talks between the Cayman Islands and the UK were a role model for how such talks should be conducted, and one that other territories could follow. I'm going to counter that by saying the Brexit talks between the UK and the European Union those talks are role models for how negotiations should be conducted. Hard line negotiations. That is how we should have been negotiating. The same way that the UK is negotiating now in terms of Brexit and holding a hard line, we should be doing the same. Rather than us covering when the UK threatens and says, well, if you want to go any further constitutionally, you want Section 125 or 126 removed, Section 81 removed, then you have to make that next step forward to independence, rather than us covering and saying, well, the UK say if we want any more than that, we're going to have to go for independence. We should strike a hard line as well. And one of the cards that we have to play is that we will lobby the United Nations and point out to them that as an overseas territory, as a colony, the way that the UK is treating us as far as constitution is concerned, and as far as having control over our own destiny, that it isn't happening. One of our listeners has shared with me, they have said, Cayman Islands Parliament celebrations. From the empty seats, it is plain to see that the electorate left the MPs nearly alone to celebrate. But to celebrate what? The UK is a master at the control of power. They will always rule as long as there are people like our MPs who are so easy to fool. We are still a UK colony under the full control of the UN Charter Article 73, violating administrative powers, governing us with lawless unilateral action, trying to fool people that we have some nebulous form of democracy in this dictatorship. We never had a legislative assembly. The UK was and is in full control of all legislation, controlling all power. Be a pig. So that is what one of our listeners shared with us. And one wonders, in terms of the support or lack thereof in the Legislative Assembly, in the Parliament, had the people of the Cayman Islands been given the opportunity to determine whether or not we wanted to change the name, whether or not the outcome would have been different, whether or not the turnout at the celebrations would have been different as well. Shifting gears, going to another overseas territory, British Virgin Islands, and we know their premier there has been very vocal about, and some of the members of their assembly quite vocal about their push towards independence as well. And the 4th District Representative, Honorable Mark van der Poel, has called for the implementation of a special committee to conduct a cost analysis on the British Virgin Islands gaining independence from Britain. At least they're taking that bold step to at least talk about it and to do an analysis of it, something that others haven't done. And when I say others, I really mean the Cayman Islands. Says Honorable van der Poel's remarks were made on Friday, December the 4th, same day that we changed our Legislative Assembly to Parliament, December 4th, during a special sitting to mark the 70th anniversary of the establishment of the Legislative Council, now named the House of Assembly. So, British Virgin Islands, it was called a Legislative Council before. In the Cayman Islands, it was called a Legislative Assembly. They changed theirs to the House of Assembly. We choose to call ours Parliament. Because why? Is it because it sounds better? Like our listener said before, what I read there, a pig dressed in a princess dress wearing red lipstick will always be a pig. So the article in BVI Platinum News goes on to say, until somebody comes to us and says, listen, you gentlemen, we think it's time that you cut your navel strings from your mother and go on your own. When that time happens, we will all going to be scrambling and say, what are we going to do and how are we going to do it? In the meantime, we need to prepare and move to see what we can move to the next stage. We are learning from 70 years that these good gentlemen fought for us to be able to have our own legislature and sit in here, he remarked. Honorable van der Poel added, it's a lesson for us to learn, for our young people to learn, that they can aspire to do something that they can do once before that they couldn't aspire to do that. What year are we going to aspire to, Mr. Speaker, that we are going to do the next step? Who is going to be the brave soul? Let's see what it's going to cost to be independent. Let's do a cost analysis. Let's set up a committee to do the costs. Let us set up a committee to do this, a committee to do this. And of course, the costs should not be measured just in dollars and cents. There are other costs as well as benefits as well. Folks, top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. When we return, the phone lines will continue to be open, but I am told I have a little bit more time. So the opposition member also pointed out, this is in the British Virgin Islands again, that the British Virgin Islands has now been handling its own affairs for decades, yet the people still believe that the UK is needed. Does that sound familiar? Sometimes we are fearful, we are afraid to speak up as to where we think we should be and what we should be doing. We are here celebrating today, but there would not be a celebration if somebody, even one, was not willing to stand up, to gather help, and to get people to understand what it means to be governed by persons other than yourselves, with no interest in yourselves when you are capable of doing it for yourself, he said. Notably, talks of gaining some level of independence from the United Kingdom has been ongoing for several decades. In recent times, the successive governments have talked about moving towards greater and self-government. Folks, top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. When we return, I'll have some comments to add to what this member in the Legislative Assembly, the House of Assembly in the British Virgin Islands had to say. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. And studio time by Foster's is 2 minutes after 8.
This Christmas, let's celebrate all the good things, from the people we love to the food that we can't get enough of.
Foster's is here to help you create a Christmas you'll never forget, with the freshest ingredients, the widest range, and products from around the world.
We receive fresh produce deliveries 7 days a week, jet fresh seafood 3 times a week, and are the exclusive retailer of Waitrose products in Cayman.
So come shop with us this Christmas, from East End to West Bay. We're the island supermarket. Foster's, better because we care.
The 8 a.m. news is proudly sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. For further information, please visit chamberpension.ky. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. We are a not-for-profit, member-centric plan with a democratically elected volunteer board of trustees representing all sectors of the Cayman Islands economy. We have an all-in expense ratio of less than 1%, over 20,000 members, and $490 million in assets under management. We were the first multi-employer pension plan approved by the regulator in the late 1990s, and today we are still strong, secure, and are here for our employees and employers alike. If you would like to join or require further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. The Department of Environmental Health Director Richard Sims says it's looking into a possible date change for its annual bulk waste collection campaign.
Possibly shifting the bulk waste collection from November to December and move it to May and June next year. One of the reasons for that is because, our hurricane season starts the 1st of June. So if we are to get, a bit of your bulk stuff that can blow around and before the hurricane season starts, then, I'm thinking that will be better for us.
Mr. Sims says traditionally folks will clean up and lead up to Christmas, but the possible change is due to the safety concerns when it comes to hurricane season. Cayman's annual Bulk Waste 2020 campaign continues through December 19th. During this break, residents are asked to place their bulk waste on the curbside during the date specified on the DEH website. Bulk waste must be placed on the curbside where it's easily accessible to DEH collection crews, but will not obstruct the roadway. Bulk items that are put out after scheduled dates will not be collected. And in other news,
ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wherever you are in the world, a warm Cayman kind welcome to Gimme Story, the Cayman Islands International Storytelling Festival.
The first virtual Gimme Story aired this week and across multiple platforms, featuring presenters from all over the world, including Trinidad, the U.S., India, Barbados, and of course right here in Cayman.
You believe in duppies? Not that kind of duppy. I talking about the kind of duppy that calls your name.
A long time that gone. And when Great Spirit had first made his creation, he got up one day and he walked to the edge of the sky and he looked over and him say human beings are going same way like when chicken lose their head.
I teach them science and biology. Give them all a chance. How can one youth stand still?
Sharpen your bow tonight, boys. Sharpen your bow tonight. Boys, sharpen your bow tonight.
You can still catch Gimme Story online on the CIGTV YouTube channel. In regional news, a Jamaican who expressed his concern last week that his deportation from the United Kingdom could be a death sentence, as he has no known relatives in Jamaica, has tested positive for COVID-19 after landing last Wednesday. The Jamaica Gleaner reports, now undergoing treatment as he serves out his mandatory 14 days in isolation. The man told the Gleaner that he was not tested for the deadly coronavirus before he left the UK on a charter flight with 12 other deportees last week. Speaking from his hospital bed, he told the Gleaner that he had not been feeling well for about a week before the flight, adding that some people took off their masks during the trip. Further adding to his emotional stress is the fact that the mother of his 2- and 3-year-old sons back in Birmingham, England, has had a miscarriage. She was 2 months pregnant. He claims the UK authorities in the detention center, quote, simply could not care for any of us. After all, we were criminals to them, right? They didn't even bother to test us, knowing fully well that this disease is deadly and easily transmissible. Milton was among a batch of 50 persons initially slated to be deported last week. 23 others were left off the flight following a volley of successful requests by their lawyers. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which takes us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with David Harper. A strict new coronavirus lockdown has begun in the most populous U.S. state, California. More than half of California's 40 million residents are subject to a stay-at-home order. One state health official said they had moved from characterizing the increase in cases as a surge to being a viral tsunami that could overwhelm hospital services. The Irish Foreign Minister, Simon Coveney, has said talks on a Brexit trade deal, which are continuing in Brussels, are not going well. If no deal is done by the end of the year, the UK and EU will introduce tariffs and border checks on goods. Germany, Britain and France say they are alarmed by an Iranian announcement that it intends to install more advanced uranium-enriching centrifuges. The US President-elect Joe Biden has said he'll rejoin the nuclear pact if Tehran returns to strict compliance to its terms. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi says he hopes relations with the United States will return to objectivity and rationality when Joe Biden takes office as president next month. Speaking to a group of US business leaders in China, Mr. Wang called for the US to change its attitude towards Beijing. 8 people have been arrested in Hong Kong for taking part in a peaceful protest at a university last month. They include graduating students who are accused of chanting slogans and holding banners calling for Hong Kong's independence. They face long prison sentences under China's strict national security law. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is proudly sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. For further information, please visit chamberpension.ky. On behalf of the Board of Trustees of the Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan, we share our warmest wishes for the holiday season and a happy new year. Thank you for your continued support in business. We look forward to serving you in the upcoming year. For information as it happens, follow us on our social media channels, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, and visit our website, chamberpension.ky. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Do you remember when 2020 was great?
I don't think it was...
2020 vision, not the year.
Right.
Make 2020 great again with Optical Outlook, the new West Bay store now open. With their designer frames and sunglasses, eye health has never looked so good. Call 746-2020 and book your eye exam today at Caymanian Village and now at Jake Scott Plaza in West Bay, offering premier eye care in Cayman for over 30 years. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook.
The New Self-Help Community Foundation presents the 19th Annual Talent Exposition of the Arts with their first ever virtual concert. Get your tickets now at eventpro.ky. Streaming live on December 13th. You don't want to miss this. With performances by Erica Asai, Caitlin Tyson, Miss Universe 2018, Rico Rolando, Terry Williams, UCCI dancers, Lloyd Barker, Rita Estevanovich, Dream Chasers Cayman, Mariah Padwa, Shantae Ramoon, Duncan Anderson, Cayman Music School, Soraya Anglin, Centerpoint Dance Company, Richie T, JC Patrick, Miss World Cayman, and more. The Talent Exposition of the Arts, first ever virtual concert, broadcasting live December 13th. Get your tickets today at eventpro.ky.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Change your thinking, change your life. There's no great success without commitment.
As motivational speaker Tony Robbins said, individuals who succeed have a belief in the power of commitment. If there's a single belief that seems almost inseparable from success, it's that there's no great success without commitment. If you look at successful people in any field, you'll find they're not necessarily the best and the brightest, the fastest and the strongest. You'll find they're the ones with the most commitment.
Change your thinking. Change your life.
Radio Cayman's Cayman Strong Series was brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. OnCourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 76 degrees. Relative humidity is 96%. The barometric pressure 29.94 inches and falling. The winds are calm. Overnight low temperature was 72 degrees. Synopsis indicated an increase in showers, winds and seas are expected from late tonight as a cold front moves into the Cayman area and the associated high pressure system builds over the western Gulf of Mexico. Radar images show isolated showers in and around the Cayman area moving towards the northeast. Now the forecast for today calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers, and temperatures will be in the mid-80s. Your winds will be west to southwest at 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. And forecast for tonight calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers this evening, becoming cloudy with a 40% chance of showers from late tonight. Temperatures will fall to the mid-70s tonight. Your winds will be west to south to northwest at 10 to 15 knots this evening, varying to the northwest to north at 15 to 20 knots from late tonight. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 this evening and becoming rough with wave heights of 4 to 6 feet from late tonight, especially along the west and north coast. Small craft should exercise caution over open waters from late tonight. Low tide will be this morning at 8:58, high tide this afternoon at 3:34, and a low tide again tonight at 10:28. The sun will set this evening at 5:46 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:47. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Wednesday morning as the cold front becomes stationary over Jamaica and the high-pressure system continues to build over the central Gulf of Mexico. That's the very latest on your weather report.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
And good morning once again. Let's take a look at traffic. On the Linford Pearson Highway, traffic is busy. Coming off of the Linford Pearson Highway and Agnes Way, also busy. And steady traffic on coming off of Bobby Thompson Way. Pool Road, some sections steady, other sections moderate. As we look to Owen Roberts Drive, nothing to worry about too much as traffic is light. Edward Street, moderate flow of traffic as well as on Shedden Road. And on the Westby Road in front of the Ritz, traffic is moderate in both directions. And traffic flowing at a good pace on Eastern Avenue and Godfrey Nixon Way. On Huldah Avenue in the vicinity of the C&B roundabout, traffic is moderate. And coming from the West Bay four-way stop, moderate flow of traffic. That's very latest on your traffic. If you've seen accidents or incidents on Cayman's roads, give us a call here at Radio Cayman 949-6990. Remember, click it or tick it. Have a good morning.
At Subway, we want to express our sincere appreciation for your support this year. We're still here because of you. Because you took care of us during a difficult time, let us take care of you and your family this holiday season. It's been a stressful year. You don't need the stress of planning big holiday dinners or parties. Just give us a call. We'll make it easy and work with you to plan your special occasion. Enjoy our catering, boxes, gift certificates, and of course, our delicious cookies and new flavors. We thank you for supporting local. Subway, eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Hey, Chrissy, what a great spot for lunch. I haven't been here in ages. Right? I haven't either. I saw it on Experience Cayman and remembered how good it is. What's that? It's a free online festival showcasing all the great ideas to do in Cayman. You should check it out. That's so cool. I will for sure. Now, what are you having?
Experience Cayman is a celebration of everything local. To rediscover all the best things to see and do in the Cayman Islands, visit gov.ky/Experience Cayman. And follow Experience Cayman on Facebook and Instagram. Brought to you by the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orit Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio. We do have our phone lines that are open. Toll-free number 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037, 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. WhatsApp us, 925-3261. Talking about Christmas, 1965, December the 9th, 1965. In the Trade Winds newspaper. If those of you who are regular listeners to Radio Cayman and to For the Record would have heard in the past me refer to a column that was written and a report that was written in the newspaper by the PRO, that those acronyms stand for Public Relations Officer, Mr. Ernest Panton, who was an assistant administrator. When he retired, he was appointed as the public relations officer to be the spokesperson for the government in the media. So he wrote this column on the 9th of December. The song "I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas" is sung justly in Cayman at this time of the year, and yet we have no snow. Many of us have never seen it. As a youngster, the thought of Christmas brought great joy to me. I counted the days for its coming, and oh, how far away it seemed. It seems to come much quicker these days. And that was in 1965. In 2020, it comes even quicker, I should say. So Santa had to smuggle himself away aboard the schooner Fulmer. Today he arrives by plane. Next year he will come by a jet. How well do I remember hanging one of my mother's stockings on the bedpost with exciting hope that Santa would fill it. After having awakened myself several times during the night of Christmas Eve and the dark hours of Christmas morning to feel my stocking to find out if Santa had come, I jumped out of bed with my brothers and sister to find that he had surely not forgotten us. But my sister did not find a doll as big and pretty as the ones on display in the store today. No, just a teeny weeny little one which could hold in the palm of her hand. But it was precious because Santa brought it. As for us boys, a pack of fire rackets. These days we call them firecrackers, but we used to call them fire rackets as well. A small mouth organ, known as the harmonica, a whistle, a ball, a few marbles, a gig, a stick of candy, and perhaps an apple emerged from her stocking. No mechanical airplanes, armored cars, cowboy suits, brilliant fireworks as Santa brings today. But it was great fun, of course. Nothing pleased us better than to listen to Uncle Tom Parsons and Mr. Arthur Martin's band of marchers on Christmas morning. So it looks like someone by the name of Mr. Tom Parsons also had a band, or whether or not they were combined. But he says here, nothing pleased us better than to listen to Uncle Tom Parsons and Mr. Arthur Martin's band of marchers on Christmas morning. So those pictures, and I'm breaking here for a second, those pictures that we have seen with all of the guys like Rudell Johnson, Calvin Ramon, Mr. Shifley, Elon Pars, all of those gentlemen, they were part of Mr. Arthur's band, Mr. Arthur Martin's band, quite possibly. If you know other than that, please give us a call here on For the Record and talk about it to us. So he referred to them as Mr. Tom Parsons and Mr. Arthur Martin's band. That is Mr. He referred to it that. It says, in fact, they started marching just after sunset from December 1st. So they used to, it wasn't just one day, but they would start marching from the 1st of December. They started marching as well. This is what Mr. Ernest Panton said in 1965 5. Say, I return to snow for a moment. In the days I am talking about, one could see children, teenagers, and grown-ups flocking to the beaches with baskets big and small to collect white sand, which was deposited in helmet-like forms in the yards and spread on Christmas Eve as in a snow-like pattern. History tells us that this practice originated from the days of our early settlers, primarily the missionaries who came from snow-clad countries and who, as a reminder of snow, spread white sand in their compounds at Christmas. I'm going to repeat that again because this is a historical twist of things that to this that I have never heard before. He says, I return to snow for a moment. In the days I am talking about, one could see children, teenagers, and grown-ups flocking to the beaches with baskets big and small to collect white sand, which was deposited in helmet-like forms in the yards and spread on Christmas Eve in a snow-like pattern. History tells us that this practice originated from the day of our early settlers, primarily the missionaries who came from snow-clad countries and who, as a reminder of snow, spread white sand in their compounds at Christmas. As Christmas 1965 approaches us, may the season not be spoiled by A, non-observance of traffic laws, and you heard me talk about that. B, drunkenness and disorder. C, the improper use of fireworks. D, the doing of anything that would upset the spirit of Christmas in its flight. Many of our sailors and other relatives from the overseas and many visitors will share the festive season with us. Do let us make the children happy. Remember those who have not. Cherish the bonds of family life, and as Alice E. Kennelly wrote, after the dream has ended and the embers are burning low, may the Christ, the heart of Christmas, still brighten the afterglow. So there was Mr. Ernest Panton, the public relations officer from the Cayman for the Cayman Islands government, sharing his view of Christmas, giving us the story of Christmas in the Cayman Islands, and I learned something today. Mr. Arthur Martin's band is what it was called. Also, Mr. Parsons, what was that name again? Let me find that. Mr. Ernest's uncle, Tom Parsons, and Mr. Arthur's band. So, folks, it wasn't just, even though it may have changed later on, and the marching would have been on Christmas Eve, Mr. Ernest points out to us that they started from the 1st of December, the marching started. Now, if they started from the 1st of December and they went around to people's houses in the districts and they were given, alcohol, they had a whole lot of alcohol stored up from the 1st of December until, unless they were drinking as they went. But that was the festive season for us then. But so Mr. Tom Parson and Mr. Arthur's band, and the spreading of white sand in the yard. Now, talking about prescriptive rights. You heard what Mr. Ernest talked about, the fact that people went to the beach and got their sand in their baskets. That prescriptive right was established long time ago. So it should not be ignored. And I believe that there is still something in our legislation that allows a person to go to the beach and get no more than 5 gallons of sand or whatever it is. I believe that still exists. If that's the case, it would be really nice for someone to let me know about that as well. Folks, lots more to share with you. When we return, we're going to talk about the secondary modern school and secondary grammar school and its establishment, coming from the Trade Winds newspaper as well. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Find out about all the community happenings from nonprofit, community fundraisers, church events, and more with Radio Cayman's Community Bulletin Board 3 times daily. Don't be the one to miss out on the latest information for events taking place every day on all 3 islands. Radio Cayman's Bulletin Board brought to you by Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, just around the corner, with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours.
And Royal Medical and Wellness Center in Baytown Plaza. Your health deserves nothing less than the royal treatment. Email info@royalmedical.ky or call 769-6230. WhatsApp available at 922-2119.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs, with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000. Did you know the third most important factor for customer retention is cleanliness? With 95% of shoppers saying exterior appliance influences where they decide to shop. Keep your business clean with Roper's Janitorial. From offices to restaurants, interior and exterior, walls to rugs and flooring. Roper's cleans it all, including 24-hour emergency service. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511, or email janitorial@ropers.ky. Dress your business for success with Roper's Janitorial. We make your business shine. 949-2511. Roper's, providing products and services for better public health. Attention Caymanians, the registration deadline for the 2021 elections is January 4th. Caymanians turning 18 on or before the May 26 election may register now.
Every vote will count in our May 2021 general election.
In order to vote in the 2021 elections, you must register by the 4th of January. For more information, visit elections.ky or the elections office at Baytown Office Suites opposite the Wharf Restaurant.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio. Open line for you. We do have a caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. For the Record.
Good morning, Doc. How are you?
Not bad. How are you?
I'm good. Nice to hear your voice.
Yes.
Had I known and I hadn't properly checked my calendar, otherwise I would have had you in here with me this morning if you could have made it. But I didn't realize it until it was a little bit too late.
Yes. Well, I just want to make a few comments.
Sure.
About Mr. Ernest Ponton's writing.
Yes, sir.
You have to take it into context and the time that he was writing about.
Mm-hmm.
You see, when he was a child, when he was growing up.
Right.
Okay? So, you remember now, Cayman was a segregated society at that time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And perhaps that's the reason why Parsons had a band and Martin had a band. And because in the late 40s and 50s, up until the 1970s, the last march that they had in Georgetown was Christmas 1977. After that, the marchers disbanded. They had no march after that.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas 1977 was the last time they marched. So it seems to me that now that I know now the history of the march in the black community,
mm-hmm.
Because when I was growing up, it wasn't Mr. Arthur Martins, it was Charles Martins.
Okay.
Leading the march.
Okay, so he handed it down then.
He handed it down to his son,
mm-hmm.
and then from then on, it depends on who got the nod to lead the march.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes Uncle Bulla Frank's father,
yes.
would lead the march. It depends who would lead the march that year.
Uh-huh.
They would choose who they want to lead the march that year.
Uh-huh.
And then when in the late 1940s and 50s and 60s, the marchers then were marching. They were going to all houses in Georgetown. Even the houses in South Church Street and up in North Church Street and South Church Street,
mm-hmm.
which would have been the white community. They were
mm-hmm.
going there. They were marching there.
Mm-hmm.
So it seemed to me that Parsons Band, if they started from the 1st of
December,
from the 1st of December, they must have been marching out in the other community. But I don't think they were marching in the black communities.
Okay.
In the communities, and the marching. The marchers that Charlie Martin and Uncle Bulla and all of those other people led, they ended up either at what they call the old yard.
Mm-hmm.
You remember where they had the tamarind tree?
Right.
Or they ended up in Scranton
mm-hmm.
on Christmas Day.
Okay.
Where they shared the booty and they had a dance and all that sort of stuff and things like that. So you have to take the context in the time that he was growing up.
Right.
That was probably in the 1920s.
Uh-huh.
That he was growing up. That you had Parsons Band and so forth. Because in the 1940s, when I was growing up, there was no Parsons Band.
Okay.
There was only one band, and that was either Charlie Martin or Bulla McFeel, and that's when you had Elon Pars and Willard Connor and Michael Johnson and Chipley and Mr. Burley and Mr. Burley and all of those people, and those were the days when I was young, when you waited for Christmas Eve to the marches to start, and the marches started after the shops closed in downtown Christmas Eve. The shops would close at midnight.
And an idea who this Tom Parsons would have been? He said his uncle Tom Parsons. Who that would have been? That would have been on his mother's side?
That would have probably been on his mother's side. That would have been one of the Parsons from Ada Parsons and them side of the family. Ada Parsons and them side of the family, and so forth. But there was no Parsons marching when I was growing up, and when I followed the marchers, I didn't follow them directly, but I listened for them and got up when they came by my grandfather's house where I lived. From I was like 8, 9, 10, 12. And I remember when I was like 16, 15 years old, I was allowed to follow them in the mornings when they came down through the place now that they call McPhee's Lane.
Right.
They would come through there after they had finished Copper Boilers and Rock Hole. They would come through there and then the whole band of them would go out there and through there, and they would go down to Scranton or the old yard, and they would have the cooking and the festivities.
Right.
The festivities there for the rest of the day.
Right. Now, Doc. The fact. Do you believe that Mr. Arthur Martin's standing in the community had a lot to do with the fact that he would be the organizer? Because I recall you talking about the building of the road and going towards Crew Road, where he had to work crews and stuff like that. That he would get those together.
Yes, he was one of the most significant, popular black people in those days.
Mm-hmm.
He was the public works in those days.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one that built the roads, and he was a very conservative man.
Yeah.
And well dressed, conservative man, and you had to almost bow down to him to get a job. And because he had the men who were tried and tested.
And he had that horse too.
And he had his horse Pi.
Yeah.
And the horse had a beautiful saddle, and he had everything. He was like a god in the black community. I mean, he even had his own square, Martin Square.
Yeah. What about? Go ahead. Sorry.
He had a notice board there too. And if you know that, where he put up notices following people are not allowed to enter Martin Square.
Yeah. He would name them. Yeah.
So he was a formidable man. He and people like Mr. Bonner Russell and MacPherson Thompson and all them were the men who built the roads and the bridges and stuff in those days.
Mm-hmm.
And he came from Grenada.
Okay.
He came from Grenada, and he was married to I think one of my great grandmother's sisters.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was a formidable man, like I said. I remember when I was a young boy, they used to go down to the Captain Ben's bar to drink on Saturday. That was a big thing on Saturday for the men to come from to windward, all up in Savannah and all on their horses, and the horses would be tied out there. And you could always tell when the 3 o'clock came, because the liquor lights, the premises would open at 9 in the morning, close at 3, open again at 6 to 9 at night. And you could always tell when 3 o'clock came, because you could hear the horses on the road, the hooves pounding the pavement, not the pavement, the mile road going up. Going home.
Okay. Now, what about the white sand? The story that he gives about the white sand, that he believes that it was something that was started by missionaries to signify the snow, because they came from snow-clad countries.
Probably. I back sand. I back two types of sand. I back white sand and I back gravel sand. I back gravel sand from the place that's in dispute now.
Yeah,
we call it red spot because of the color of the sand that came up there, and we use it to behind the kitchens and places where we had soak away, where we let water out.
Yeah,
and then we back white sand, like from down in Hawkside Bay and Bar Bay. We would drag the white sand to put in front of the yard, and then later on when we got more prosperous. Like when all the men went off to sea, and they would
buy a truckload of sand.
A truckload of sand for 10 shillings and 6 pence.
Yeah.
That's how much it would cost you for 10 shillings and 6 pence for Clarence Flowers or Rupert Moxham, or one of those would bring a truckload of sand. And
Mr. Dilbert from West Bay, he used to run it too. Yes.
And like Mr. Orney said, you put in little piles. Like little. Like little pyramids in the yard.
Or when you did buy, reach the point where you could afford to buy a truckload of sand, you'd take all kind of prickles and stuff like that and put on it, because you still don't spray that out until Christmas week. So you put all sort of prickles on it so that the dogs and stuff wouldn't go and dig it out as well. Yeah.
And then what you did, you scrape up all of the old sand from the front yard and put that in the back. and then you put all the new sand in the front.
Yeah.
And that was a thing, boy, when Christmas Eve, when you spread that sand now and the sand is a little damp, and it was out in the yard and it looked so white and so forth, and we had to paint the house every Christmas.
Yeah.
every Christmas you had to paint your house. That was my assignment in the Christmas, to paint the house.
Okay. Doc, I want to thank you very much for your contribution there. Have to go to a commercial break, but please feel free to call back if you want to talk some more. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
No, man. My bill seem huge again, and I don't know what to do about it. I gotta look some help.
We can help. The Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure has teamed up with CUC to give you the chance to win a home energy makeover worth up to $20,000. Not only will this lower your utility bills, it will increase your home's value. We are also giving away 8 home energy audits worth up to $1,900 each. Open to all homeowners in Grand Cayman. Entry is now open via www.energy.gov.ky/competition. Proudly sponsored by CEL Cooling, Mitsubishi, Foam Pros, Cooling Pros, and more. Use less, save more. Enter today.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best and sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Stronger, wider, higher, lighter. The all-new Ford Ranger Raptor.
Powerfully built with a 2.0 diesel Panther engine and 210 horsepower. Modern with leather interior and 8-inch touchscreen, Sync 3 technology and power features. Tough, built to handle the off-road with 4-wheel drive, terrain modes, and a 10-speed automatic transmission. Coming early October to Vamped Motors, Walkers Road. To find out more and to test drive the bold new Ford Ranger Raptor, visit Vamped Motors, Walkers Road, or call 949-8288.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio. We do have a caller on hold. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor.
Good morning, Cap. How are you?
I'm still hanging in, thankful.
Good to hear your voice.
Thank you. Yeah, that gentleman who's talking about Thomas Parson, that was Brett and Buddy Bush grandfather.
Okay.
And his brother was he was a man that was on the gold field when she got away, when the cyclone carried her away. Godson Parson, they were brothers.
Okay.
Their house was right by the 7-Eleven store down there on the other side of the road, just a little bit north of that.
Okay.
So that's who that was. Okay.
I'm trying to remember. There was a Parsons that used to live almost opposite Lobster Pot as well. And then I remember Sharon Trilly and Trilly Parsons, Margaret Parsons, they lived in that house. And then, of course, you had Victor Parsons and their family. So I think they were on either side of Mr.
Lobster Pot.
Yes, on the opposite side of the road there.
That was Mr. Gradson's son, Lethan.
Yes, Mr. Lethan. That's the name I was trying to remember. Yes. That's the name. So, Captain Paul, I don't know if you heard the what I was reading about Mr. Ernest Panton and what he said about the Christmas time in Cayman, and he attributes the custom of spreading sand, white sand in the yard. He believes that it may have been started by missionaries who came to Cayman, and because we didn't have snow here, that they spread the sand out to sort of like represent the snow. Do you concur with that proposition?
Yeah, I would believe that because that was a tradition from time I can remember, and not many years ago. So I can that seems logical. I think that would be how it started.
Okay, great.
Okay, sir.
All right, Cap, thank you very much. You enjoy the holidays and please stay safe.
Oh, I can't do that anymore, but I'll try to keep safe.
All right. All the best, sir. All the best. So speaking of missionaries and everything, we'll have a little history now of the secondary grammar school in the Cayman Islands. Before I do that, though, I want to give credit where credit is due, and that without the generosity of Miss Joellen Thompson, I would not have the benefit of these Trade Winds newspaper. And we do know I have offers of other newspapers as well that I have to go to West Bay, to collect from people, and I'll do that so that I can share them with you next year as well. But Miss Joellen Thompson, she got these from Miss Ardis Smith. Miss Ardis Smith worked for the Trade Winds newspaper. She worked in their offices there, and then at one point in time she was a reporter for West Bay as well for the newspaper. So I want to thank Miss Joellen Thompson for sharing these. So on the 8th of December, 1966, on the front page, there's a photograph, and left to right standing, Reverend John Gray, Reverend John Lord, sitting, Mrs. Isla Connolly, and His Honor, the Administrator, and Mrs. Cumber. And the article reads, "The opening ceremony of the new building for the Cayman Government Secondary Grammar School was held on the evening of November 29th, 1966, with Mrs. Isla Connolly, Director of Education, in the chair. His Honor, the Administrator, formally opened the building with the following speech. Madam Chair, the Reverend Mr. Gray, the Honorable Mr. McNamee, the Honorable Members of Executive Council and the Legislative Assembly, members of the staff and Parent Teachers Association of the Government Secondary School, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys. Most of us here this evening will remember that the government of these islands acquired the Cayman Islands High School from the Presbyterian Church at the beginning of 1964. So, folks, piece of history there. If you're, into what some people would refer to as trivia, but to me it isn't trivia. It's part of our history. 1964, the government of the Cayman Islands acquired from the Presbyterian Church the Cayman Islands High School. And it goes on to say, and that shortly thereafter, the school was renamed the Cayman Islands Government Secondary School. There were, of course, sound reasons for this change of ownership, but I will not bore you by repeating them, because that chapter in the history of education in this territory was closed nearly 3 years ago. It is, however, pertinent to recall that the old Cayman High School enjoyed a sound reputation, and that the government, as the new owner of the school, intended to maintain this reputation and to enhance it by reinforcing the graduate teaching staff and moving the school into a suitable new building. Now, I want to give you my take of what those words mean, that the old Cayman High School enjoyed a sound reputation, and that the government, as the new owner of the school, intended to maintain this reputation. When the government took over the school, it meant that children from other backgrounds would be able to attend the school as well. Those who prior to that would not have been able to attend the Presbyterian school because of their policies in terms, or those who could actually afford to go there. So what he's basically saying is, while the government is going to take it over, they have given us assurances that they will not lower the standards. How could the standards be lowered? They thought that possibly by allowing more underprivileged children from backgrounds different from those who had previously attended it, that would cause that to happen. Just my take, folks. You all may see it differently, but that's my take on it, okay? Goes on to say, ladies and gentlemen, only a few of the government's most vociferous critics could have interpreted this intention as anything other than laudable. But unfortunately, the sincerity behind the government's expressed intention was both deeper than its purse and greater than its ability to recruit graduate staff in those early months of 1964. I will pause there again. And when you talk about recruit graduate staff, these were mainly students who were sometimes in their gap year before going off to university, who would come to the Cayman Islands and assist in terms of teaching. So that's why they were called graduate staff. He goes on to say, the administrator, my arrival in Grand Cayman on first appointment occurred shortly after the appearance on the school notice board of a notice which read, under, quote, unquote, under new management. It was, I think, signed by the then acting, and give me a little break here because I have to find page 10, got to scroll down, by the then acting, let's find page 10, coming up, page 10 coming up. I'm going to keep talking and saying page 10, hope I don't bore you. Page 10 coming up, I just have to scroll down, okay? Page 10, bear with me, Miss Susan, don't. Okay. Page 10. Okay, here we go. Have it for you. It says, by the then acting administrator, who was one of the elders of the Presbyterian Church at that propitious time. So that, I believe that acting administrator would have been Mr. Ernest Panton, right? Perhaps, like me, you have sometimes wondered whether the ownership of the school was transferred from the right hand into the left hand or from the left hand into the right hand. Be that as it may, I first set eyes on this notice when visiting the Public Works Department yard and the old school building during my initial inspection of the government's immovable assets. So the administrator, when he came here and was performing his visits to the various government departments and looking at the various government assets, he would have, the Public Works, as some of you may know, was behind where the library is now, and that is where the school was. And for those of you who are not aware of it, that is where the U.S. base was as well. The United States had a base here in the Cayman Islands, leased property from the government, and they occupied that base. When they left, that was used, as a school. Public Works Department was there as well. At times, the government customs warehouse was also located there. Have to pause to take our headline news at 9 o'clock. When we return, I will continue to read unless we have callers. If we do have callers, we will interrupt and take those callers as well. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after headline news.
Community radio with a different appeal. The voice of the people. Security through adversity. Stuck on you. Radio for all time.
You're listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Government reported the results of 442 COVID-19 test results on Friday. One was positive. The person is an asymptomatic traveler who was tested during routine screening. They will remain in isolation along with 1,317 other people. A satellite-controlled machine gun with artificial intelligence was used to kill Iran's top nuclear scientist, according to the Revolutionary Guards commander. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh was shot dead in a convoy outside Tehran on November 27th. On Sunday, Brigadier General Ali Fadavi told local media the weapon mounted in a pickup had been able to fire several rounds without hitting the man's wife beside him. Iran has blamed Israel and an exiled opposition group for the attack. Most parts of the United States of California are under a strict new lockdown as COVID-19 continues to surge across the country. The stay-at-home order affects about 85% of the state's 40 million people. It will be in place for at least 3 weeks and will cover the Christmas holiday. Many businesses will be closed and people will be banned from meeting anyone outside their household. On Sunday, the U.S. had a record number of people in hospital with COVID-19. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
your voice, your choice, your radio.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio. Phone lines are open. I'm sharing with you the history of the government secondary grammar school, how it started, 1966, the opening ceremony, and the then administrator, Mr. John Cumber, in his speech to the gathering, spoke about the school, and I was to the point where he said, be that as it may, I first set eyes on the notice when visiting the Public Works Yard and the old school building during my initial inspection of government's immovable assets. By then, however, some wag had stuck it on the door of the Public Works Department Superintendent's office. Mr. Tibbetts was with me at the time. That would be Mr. Esther Tibbetts, I presume. And even today, I am uncertain whether the expression on his face reflected relief, apprehension, or justifiable indignation. I vaguely remember, however, that he uttered a few unintelligible words before directing me to Mr. Gray's school across the Public Works Department yard, where a game of football appeared to be in progress between some members of the school team and a rumbling bulldozer supported by a clanking traxcavator on as goalkeeper. so the footballers were playing against the bulldozer. It goes on to say, my first impression of the old school building was unfavorable, to say the least, and it came as no surprise to learn that the public shared the government's desire to provide the school with a new building where, with adequate staff and equipment, it could evolve into a first-class secondary grammar school comparable with the best in the West Indies. He goes on to say, ladies and gentlemen, I think it was obvious to all of us that those old World War II naval buildings were wholly unsuitable premises for a secondary school. Neither the staff nor the pupils could be expected to produce their best results in an environment which was synonymous with overcrowding, structural decay, and the roar of a powerful internal combustion engine. Perhaps Mr. Gray found conditions in the galleries of a mind more conducive to tuition and study than those prevailing in the old school buildings. But either way, great credit is due to him and his staff and pupils for coping with these deplorable conditions for so long. I'm going to take a break there for a second and just say that that's the administrator's view of it, coming from quote-unquote modern-day England at that point in time and seeing what students had to endure here in the Cayman Islands. But those students learned. Those students excelled. Some of those students went on to university abroad. Those who didn't go to university abroad traveled overseas anyway, either went to sea or whatever, and made something of themselves. We also need to bear in mind that at that time, or earlier years, some students didn't even have those World War II buildings, those dilapidated buildings, as classrooms. My mother taught under a tree, breadfruit trees. Miss Rachel Forbes taught under trees. I'm sure Miss Glida taught under trees as well. So some had less than those dilapidated buildings to work with. But at the end of the day, they prevailed, they learned, because they had that great desire to learn. So the article goes on to say, His Honor then related the good fortune of the islands in securing the services of graduates, both Caymanian and from voluntary organizations, which helped greatly, even though the volunteers were largely expatriate. We say expatriate these days. He used the word expatriate. And were only here for short periods, and in solving the financial problems through a generous grant of £40,000 from CD. I believe would be the Colonial Development and Welfare Fund, CD&W, which enabled the securing of sites in Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac and the building of 2 new secondary schools. He complimented the Department of Public Works and the Public Works Department building team, and particularly Messrs. Michael Griffiths, James Ebanks, familiar Caymanian carpenter, that name, Liston Ebanks, V-Word Green, Freddie Connor, Brent Bush, Bernard Watler, Lawrence Ebanks, Frank Martinez, and Robert Alley. I'm going to repeat those names because those were the days in the Cayman Islands when you heard names in public works. They were Caymanian names. Let's hear them again. So he complimented the Department of Public Works and the Public Works Department building team, and particularly Michael Griffiths, James Ebanks, Liston Ebanks, Weward Green, Freddie Connor, Brent Bush, Bernard Watler, Lawrence Ebanks, Frank Martinez, and Robert Alley. He urged the students to take pride in their new building and in the challenge of education while pointing out that no school is better than its pupils, which brings me back to what I said earlier. Even under the breadfruit tree, even under the almond tree, even under the tamarind tree, it is the students who make the school, not necessarily the school that made the students, or the structure, I should say, that made the students. So he urged the students to take pride in their new building and the challenge of education while pointing out that no school is better than its pupils, following which His Honor declared the new school building open and wished success and happiness to the principal, staff, and pupils. So that there had to do with the opening of the secondary grammar school in the Cayman Islands, opened by Mr. John Cumber, 1966. And he gave a speech. He spoke about when visiting the Public Works Department when he first came and saw what we had for a school then, the old U.S. base and the buildings that were there that were used for the purposes of a school. Okay, what else did we have in 1966? You talk about, all of the challenges. He spoke about the £40,000 grant that was given by the UK for the building of schools. But again, points out to you and to us how much attention the United Kingdom at that point in time really paid to some of its colonies. Really points that out as well. Some may say they were generous. Others may say that they simply ignored us. December 8, 1966, we also had a budget session for the Legislative Assembly. And that was the fifth budget meeting of the fourth session of the Legislative Assembly. That opened in 1966 at 10 o'clock. I believe those days they probably started on time as well, compared to what we see these days. It says, according to the agenda published, Government Notice number 155 dated the 3rd of December, the Legislative Assembly will consider the Appropriation Bill 1966, which makes provisions to apply to a sum of money for the services of civil government for the period of January 1st to January 31st, 1967. They will also consider the Liquor Licensing Amendment Bill, 1966, which would remove the necessity for the administrator sitting, I have to find page 6 for you, for the administrator sitting in Susan. I'm going to take a break. I'll find page 6 and continue after that with the Legislative Assembly. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Stronger, wider, higher, lighter. The all-new Ford Ranger Raptor. Powerfully built with a 2.0 diesel Panther engine and 210 horsepower. Modern with leather interior and 8-inch touchscreen, Sync 3 technology and power features. Tough, built to handle the off-road with 4-wheel drive, terrain modes, and 10-speed automatic transmission. Coming early October to Vamped Motors, Walkers Road. To find out more and to test drive the bold new Ford Ranger Raptor, visit Vamped Motors, Walkers Road, or call 949-8288. Green Turtle. Modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Kirk Freeport's $40,000 Christmas sweepstakes is back. Spend $100 on your favorite Kirk Freeport store, and you could win one of 3 $5,000 cash prizes or one of 5 $1,000 cash prizes. All purchases of $100 before noon on Christmas Eve qualify for all remaining prize draws. There will be the annual Rolex watch prize draw on January 4th and loads of other great prizes. Our small boxes give big surprises and a Christmas full of great prizes. Full details on KirkFreeport.com. Merry Christmas from everyone at Kirk Freeport.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio, so I'm sharing with you article from the Trade Winds newspaper of 1966. We're talking about the Legislative Assembly meeting to discuss the budget. And one of the amendments to the liquor licensing law would remove the administrator from chairing as chairman of the Liquor Licensing Board in Grand Cayman and make provisions to divide clubs into residential and non-residential, charging a license fee of £35 annually for residential clubs and £30 annually for non-residential clubs. It would provide for different closing hours for each type of club. Now, residential and non-residential clubs, I wonder if that meant that if you had a nightclub that was in a residential area as opposed to one that may have been in a tourist related area, if that was the distinction. Not sure. If anyone knows what that means, feel free to call in. The article goes on to say that another interesting bill is the Public Holidays Amendment Bill. That was in 1966, the purpose of which is to provide more compact holiday periods by ensuring that holidays are on Mondays. Yeah, hey, that's interesting. That is very interesting. You notice a lot of our holidays are on Monday, so you get that long weekend. Maybe this is where a lot of it, came from. So a bill for Public Holidays Amendment Bill 1966, the purpose of which is to provide more compact holiday periods by ensuring that holidays are on Mondays. It says a formal amendment is to be made by the Pensions Amendment Regulations 1966, changing the name of countries due to independence of British Guyana, Bechuanaland, and Basutoland. It also proposed to consider government warehouse amendment regulations, increasing the fees chargeable by the government warehouse on goods not removed after 14 days in order to keep pace with the increased cost of warehouse labor. And at those days, I believe that there were 1966. There were 2 warehouses. You had the warehouse on the waterfront, and there was additional space for warehouse in those same buildings that were spoken about earlier, where the school was, the Presbyterian school was located at that time. A warehouse was also there. It says one bill that should give rise to considerable debate is the Hotel Aid Amendment Bill 1966, which seeks to prolong the life of the Hotel Aids law. Debate is expected as the form in which the bill is proposed confers a choice as to whether materials for hotels are to be imported free of duty and tonnage tax, or whether only reduced duties and tonnage tax would be allowed. So, those of you who still have concerns and apprehensions about the waiver of import duties for condos, for hotels, this was something that the Cayman Islands were struggling with in 1966 as well, and as a result, there was a bill, an amendment to the Hotel Aids Bill 1966, which sought to prolong the life of the Hotel Aids law. So first of all, I guess there was some sunset clause to the Hotel Aids law, and as a result, they wanted to prolong it. And the debate that was expected to take place in relation to that was the form in which the bill is proposed, and that proposal referred to a choice as to whether materials for hotels are to be imported free of duties and tonnage tax, or whether only reduced duties and tonnage tax will be allowed. At least in those days, they were a little bit more transparent, about the concessions that they were prepared to give in that regard. Not sure. I think these days might be at the discretion of cabinet, and they may or may not tell us, what those duty allowances are. But there are people who have concerns about that, and there are those who have concerns also that if we are such a progressive country and investors are clamoring to come to the Cayman Islands and to invest here, whether or not we need to offer any incentives at all to them. And what's the purpose? What purpose do those incentives have for Caymanians in particular? Do we say to them, 60% of your workforce has to be Caymanian? Do we say to them that you have to hire Caymanian contractors? Do we say to them, most of your goods should be sourced locally? Do we say the staffing of these facilities should be majority Caymanian? These are all of the conditions that we can attach to any handout that we may be given to any any investor here in the Cayman Islands, as well. So, interesting. have enough time before we go to the break to share with you. Last week you heard me talk about cable and wireless and their opening as well, and that took place on that week of the 8th of December as well. Can't show it to you, but there was a photograph in one of the editions of the Trade Winds newspaper showing the same Mr. Fred O'Connor, who worked at the Public Works Department as well, and others digging a trench to where, well, those of you, I don't know if you remember where the guinea tree was, near the Legislative Assembly building. I think that we took that guinea tree, a historical part of the Cayman Islands. That guinea tree was taken down to make way for the road to be widened there. And the Cable and Wireless building right next to the Town Hall, which is now Constitution Hall. And they were running a trench across the road from the Cable and Wireless building towards that area. And folks, those days, there weren't too many, if any, backhoes in the Cayman Islands, so you had to use that good old elbow grease, the pickaxe, to dig the trenches. And there was a photograph there of Mr. Fred O'Connor and others with the pickaxe there. So on the 11 o'clock on that Friday morning, His Honor the Administrator extended a warm welcome to Sir John and Lady McPherson, mentioning briefly his accomplishments and those of Cable and Wireless, and then cut the strip of punched teletype tape across the doorway to formally open the new Georgetown offices and exchange of cable and wireless. Of course, later on in years to come, some people humorously changed the name of Cable and Wireless to Careless and Worthless when they felt that they got bad service. But those days it was called Cable and Wireless. Says the crowd then moved into the town hall while the official party led by Sir John McPherson, chairman of Cable and Wireless, inspected the new offices, following which they assembled on the platform in the town hall with Sir John at the center, and to his left, the administrator, Captain Eldon Kirkernel, MLA of Georgetown, Mr. Craddock Ebanks, MLA of Northside, and Mr. Anton Borden, MLA of Borden Town. And to his right, Mr. T.W. Farrington, MLA of West Bay, Mr. Warren Connolly, MLA of East End, Mr. Peter Forrestal, Project Manager of Cable and Wireless here. I'm going to interrupt myself now. We have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning. Also, this is Gilbert McLean.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am good, thanks. One second, please.
Okay.
You can hear me clearly now, I hope?
Yes, I can, yes.
Okay. I was listening to you here as I was waiting for an appointment here in town, and I was just marveling as you read the information there from, I think you said it was the Trade Winds?
Yes, sir. 1966.
Yeah. And I don't know if it struck you the same way that it did me, that as you read about the thinking of people in those times, what wisdom, eh?
Yes.
And how they took the time to think and how they saw in very practical terms ways of making a difference here in Cayman. And of course, you also use one word there about transparent, things being more transparent. Nobody could get away in those days with, say, the people in Exco then, sitting up there in Exco and giving away any concessions and so on without coming to the Legislative Assembly. It wasn't that you vested that in some all-knowing and all-powerful minister who, in this day and age, in 2020, would tell you, this is personal to me. You natives can't hear anything about this. This is too big for your little ears and your little minds. That could never happen because we had men of substance in those days. Just like now, if we have 19 people elected, and can we really believe in the world of good common sense that majority, not the majority, the minority out there, 5, 6, 7 or whatever, would sit around and accept one little individual saying that we can't tell you that, that is something which is a deal between us or me and the people there who want it.
Industrial secrets and stuff, yeah.
That alone would be a suspicion in those days. You couldn't get away with that. And just like now, I mean, these persons there are in a position where they could be out from district to district, bringing to the attention of the people who don't really listen in most times or keep themselves informed about what is going on, which I believe would raise an objection to such things going on, So I truly marvel at what is happening in this day and age. And I think, they call it the Roaring 60s.
Yes.
It was a different world here in Cayman, and we had people who really cared about Cayman. And of course, they did have, I know as a fact, they did have a certain sunset, as you say, on the
legislation.
The hotel aids law. And another thing, OC, is that I know as a fact that when that law came about, it was to get some or one or two hotels to come to Cayman to create some jobs that our men, for one thing, who are coming back from sea, could get some employment. Now we have hotels coming out of our nose and creating jobs 100 times what we need here to employ all of our people. So why do we continue to build and create more jobs for the rest of the world? Well, I mean, I know why, but, it's really, we have turned into a sad story, I think, OC. I really do. And I'm glad that you take the time to go back and you find newspapers and so on that gives a picture of those times. For those who are even slightly interested, like myself, certainly, I'm more than interested. It just recalls to my mind the people I knew in those days who were legislators and who really were legislators for Cayman. It's surely a different time. And right now, it seems as if the people who caught on to that big term about investor, the investor comes here and sets the tone and sets the laws, and people we have elected just carry them out. But anyway, OC, that's just my thoughts now, which a bit of sarcasm and all that in there. But anyway, do keep up the job that you're doing, because you kind of go back when too, so you know about the good times here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. McLean. Thank you very much for that.
You.
Enjoy the rest of your day and the holidays if I don't see or hear from you.
Yes, and the very same to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices at Ropers, your neighborhood store. Value, integrity. Ropers also offers complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time. 122 Industrial Way, 949-2511, or email janitorial@ropers.ky. Clean up your spending with Ropers and stay prepared. 949-2511. Ropers, providing products and services for better public health.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
CG Britke would like to wish our clients, their families, our staff, and our communities a happy holiday. In this time of celebration, let us remember what this past year has taught us. That we can be in different rooms, different homes, or on different islands, yet never feel apart. Because we are here for each other and stronger together. We look forward to the new year, to serving your insurance needs, and to always putting people first. Happy holidays from our CG Britke family to yours.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio. The phone lines are open. I'm sharing many things with you this morning. Trying to be as much on the positive side as possible, but when there is time for us to be critical, we'll do that. Or when we have to make comparisons between then and now, we need to do that as well. One comparison that we can make has to do with tourism in the Cayman Islands and how important tourism was. Give you an opportunity to hear the then director of tourism, or chairman, he was at that point in time chairman of the Cayman Islands Tourist Board, what he had to say about tourism in the Cayman Islands. And it starts off, it is entitled Tourism Important. We are pleased to publish the first portion of the speech delivered by Mr. Eric Bergstrom, chairman of the Tourist Board, to the budget session of the Legislative Assembly today. That would have been on the 8th of December 1966. Time magazine reported some months ago in their financial pages on the largest industry in the world. It wasn't steel or automobile manufacturing or chemicals or agriculture or indeed any of the industries we normally think of. It was, however, tourism. Let me give you some examples. This is what Mr. Bergstrom said. In 1965, Florida had over 16 million visitors who spent over $3 billion. Spain received 17 million tourists spending over $1 billion. Italy, Spain, and Austria tourism is now the leading industry. And yet, the potential is still fantastic. Statistics show that over half of all American adults do not take a business or pleasure trip more than 200 miles from home in a year, and 99% do not go overseas. What a vast, untapped market awaits us, he said. The future possibilities, gentlemen, are almost limitless. To bring the picture closer to home, let me ask you one question. This is Mr. Bergstrom to members of the Legislative Assembly. How many of us sitting here today could have predicted just 3 years ago the wonderful growth of tourism in the Cayman Islands. A growth, my friends, that is small, however, compared to what it might have been. Tourism in the Cayman Islands. Let us look at some figures. In 1964, we had about 4,700 non-resident arrivals, of which 2,800 were shown as tourists. In 1965, we had approximately 6,550 non-resident arrivals, of which about 3,650 were tourists. In 1966, of course, we only have definite figures through the first 10 months, and so have projected November and December we will have about 8,300 non-residential arrivals, of which about 5,400 are tourists. So in just 3 years, our number of tourists has almost doubled from 2,800 to 5,400. In 1965 showed a rise of 44% over 1965, and 1966 will be about 50% over 1965. Now, let me be the first to admit that our tourist board is very new and inexperienced. John Edwards has done a marvelous job for us, assembling statistics which have never been kept before, but of course, the history is short, and as such, we must admit that our figures may be somewhat off to date. Time will rectify this. However, we have been trying to find out what tourism means to the Cayman Islands in terms of money spent here, and we can now give you a reasonable, accurate figure for 1966. We know, for example, that the average tourist spends about $75 during his stay for expenditures other than his room and board. Yeah, 75. We have calculated that the average tourist spends about $187 for his room and board and tips. This gives us a total of about $26,200 per tourist. $262 per tourist. I think we are, if anything, modest with this figure. In Mexico, for example, the average is $352, while right next door in Jamaica, it is $307. By simply multiplying the average expenditure by the number of tourists, we find that in 1966, tourists will spend about can't figure that figure. Almost $1 in $500,000, gentlemen. And the most amazing thing to me is that we have not really tried. We haven't begun to really work at the job. While I was in Miami some weeks ago, I heard a wonderful speech by Stuart Shaw, blah, 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 on that. We're going to go to the phone lines. I will finish this when we return. We do have a caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, O.C. Elvis. How you doing?
Hey, morning. I'm good, my friend. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I keeping up with the times. You know, on last week Tuesday, I think it was the United Nations.
Yes.
Voted on the advice of the World Health Organization, right?
Mm-hmm.
To take marijuana off our Schedule 1 drug, and now they recognize the medicinal purposes and the therapeutic, right? From there, that is the right thing, right?
Yep.
So now I can get back to the part of discrimination now. Now the whole world recognize it now. The same one that we taking advice about the corona and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
People that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, in Cayman, you go one part of the community that our government voted for and say, yeah, we recognize that is a medicine, and the doctors can do what they want to do with it. But the local can't get into the business. Why? If that's not discrimination, now you tell me, OC, what is discrimination? And another thing, I rereading again. They just done another bus with 900, almost 1,000 pounds of weed valued $1 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where is that money going? That money could... Obviously, we have a lucrative market here for marijuana, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That is obvious because they're not catching no 100 pound, 50 pound. It's 1,000 pound shipments that coming through.
Mm-hmm.
And look at, they are coming through. Trust me on that, my friend.
Because what they discover is only a small percentage of what actually gets through.
Okay.
We know that.
Tell me something, huh?
I said we know that. Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Tell me something, OC. You remember when the coronavirus had everybody lost, and I remember because you got called members of parliament now, right? How important it was to farm. You know, farming was a big thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Marijuana farming too, you know.
Mm-hmm. So Elvis, you know, because if we're talking about legalizing it, it has to be something that has to be considered by the government, right?
Yeah.
How do you propose that it's handled? Because you don't want to dump it on everything on people. There has to be some gradual progression towards the legalization of it. How do you propose that they start by decriminalizing small quantities of it? You talk about the commercial use of it. Jamaica thought that there was going to be a huge windfall when it comes to medical marijuana. They're discovering otherwise, that there's so much competition from every other place that it is not as lucrative as they thought it would be. But how do you propose the government gradually moves us to the stage of legalization in the Cayman Islands?
Well, okay. See, first of all, I stated, okay, and my thing there, let's say each man that want to grow his own thing, he can allow 5 plants at any given time, 10 plants, whatever. Okay? Now, we know that there is a sale here because we can do our thing. We got young kids that can deal with the laboratory work to make the medicine and whatever. So then we 5 plants per person, everybody can do that. Now, if you want to get in to the recreational part of the marijuana and the medicinal part, you have to apply for a license to farm. So you got license. I'm a licensed farmer, you know, because I'm a licensed commercial farmer because I've been planning on this for a long time. I don't just get up overnight and say that thing can happen, you know. Okay? And just like they do, and let me tell you something in Jamaica, my friend, everyone at the Coptic, the people the Maroons, that's where the marijuana is going from Maroon Town to Canada, thousands of pounds. And look at every one of those Maroon down there are allowed to cultivate, I think it's an acre of land or a half an acre of land, right? And those plants, they come and say, oh, see, let me check. You got 2,000 plants. Okay, when we wait to harvest, you have to give account for those 2,000, you know, because your product will be taxed off of those plants. You understand what I'm saying? And I mean, it is plain and simple. We got the people in place. We got our agriculture department is already there. It is underutilized because the only time I hear the politician talking about education and farming is when it's election or like the corona. But there is, look here, think about it this way. Couple of these guys, but not couple, plenty young Caymanians that got police record that we don't want to give them a job, obviously. But if you got a farm going, you can pay your farmer $10 or $12 to walk in now, because you will be making money. Because if 1,000 pound ganja is worth $1 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are submitting it. And an acre.
But you realize what makes it so valuable, right? Because it's prohibited. Once you legalize it, then the price is going to drop.
No, let me tell you something, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I read up on this. In Canada, the legal marijuana is more expensive than the marijuana, the illegal, because you know what? Number one, people say, well, if I take a chance to go down there and buy something from overseas, I don't know what I get, and I might get ripped off to save $200 a pound or something. So when something is legal and done right, that you can go to tourists, right? The tourists can come into my liquor store, or will be able to do, and they can look and they say, okay, this price for this. It's just like you lick on the shelf.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? You got.
I don't, Elvis. We've got to go now because I'm past my commercial break. But I'm not sure if we're ready for all of that here in the Cayman Islands yet. But you continue to advocate for it. And what do you say? No weed, no what?
No vote.
Okay. Take care, my friend. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices. Ropers. Appliances, dishware, bulk foods, and so much more. With huge savings, Ropers is stocked for your hurricane supplies. Don't cut back on your needs. Cut back on your spending with Ropers. Your neighborhood store. Value, integrity. Ropers Enterprises. 122 Industrial Way. Call 949-2511. Clean up your spending with Ropers. Ropers, providing products and services for better public health.
No, man. My bills seem huge again, and I don't know what to do about it. I gotta look some help.
We can help. The Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure has teamed up with CUC to give you the chance to win a home energy makeover worth up to $20,000. Not only will this lower your utility bills, it will increase your home's value. We are also giving away 8 home energy audits worth up to $1,900 each. Open to all homeowners in Grand Cayman. Entry is now open via www.energy.gov.ky/competition. Proudly sponsored by CEL Cooling, Mitsubishi, Phone Pros, Cooling Pros, and more. Use less, save more. Enter today.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best and sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record on the last leg of the show. We have about 5 minutes left and the show will be over for today. Do we, no callers? Yeah, so we'll close the lines off, at this point in time. Let's see if I've received any WhatsApp messages from don't want to miss anyone. Okay, here's one. Person says, good morning. I have noticed that most, if not all, of the bus stops, the shelters, have advertisements on either side. So when you are sitting inside the shelter, you can't see when the bus is coming. Thank you for that. So the person having difficulty or has an issue with the bus stops. I'm going to try to open this other one before we call it a day. We're going to update this phone to a more modern Samsung, as well. So Mr. Eric Bergstrom, getting back to the story with Mr. Eric Bergstrom, what he was addressing the Legislative Assembly in 1966 about was the fact that he was seeking more funding for tourism, and he also pointed out how much other jurisdictions spend on tourism, and that we needed to increase our investment, the government, in terms of advertising and having, overseas representatives and everything. One of our listeners has written in and said, "Good morning. The former Commissioner Baines considered and something of the herbs to be decriminalized." So that he advocated for that, I think, several years ago. Black market or gray market, Cayman has been ready. No gridlock on the topic, no taboo. A diaphragm, inhale, exhale. This person seems to be as if they're advocating for the decriminalization of ganja in the Cayman Islands. We see other jurisdictions taking those things into consideration. Some may say, well, the authorities have given up on trying to police it, concentrating on small quantities rather than on large quantities, that they have basically conceded that they have lost that war. And if they have lost that war, then what should they do in relation to personal use of ganja, whether it should be decriminalized? So many young folks have their careers, their future impacted by convictions, and the government of the Cayman Islands has attempted to do something about that. But there are those who are looking for larger steps, much greater steps than that in terms of, for medicinal purposes, producing it here in the Cayman Islands. Maybe the day will come when you have progressive legislators who may favor that, but it seems at this point in time that there is not an appetite for that in the Cayman Islands. We do not hear a lot of people advocating for it, but that should not deter those who feel strongly about it from continuing to speak about it, continue to lobby for changes as well, and it may come about. One of the things that people say in the Cayman Islands, you don't realize the number of persons who are smoking weed. And if you did, then it would really, really surprise you to see how many are doing so. Those are the figures that you need to have. You need to do surveys. You need to get people's position on it. But bear in mind, we still have a generation, and we still have a demographic in the Cayman Islands where those people who participate in the political process, meaning that they get out there and they vote for their legislators, those are the ones who really are not necessarily advocating for those things. And until the demographics change, where you have younger people getting involved, getting their viewpoints across, doing surveys, testing the mood and the temperature of the people of the Cayman Islands, that's the only way that you're going to know whether or not someone is for or against certain things here in the Cayman Islands. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. So I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today, and as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. And Fidelity Bank. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Also brought to you by Ropers Enterprises, 122 Industrial Way. Products and services for better public health. Green Turtle. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today. And the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure.